Hi, everyone. You're very welcome. Good afternoon, good evening from whatever part of the globe you're joining us from. It's our absolute pleasure to welcome Joe Getz to this webinar today and to our community. Joe is over 30 years in the industry. He is CEO of Social Market Analytics. He is predominantly, as Steve mentioned today in our live room, works with B2Bs, as in hedge funds and investment banks. We are absolutely thrilled to be his first B2C platform that he'll be bringing his product to. He has an absolute wealth of knowledge of how social media metrics move the market and how the retail traders, how we can actually benefit from it. So I welcome you to pop questions in the chat as you think of them. Please don't wait for them to the end. Joe will happily jump in and out of questions if we feel that it's beneficial, or we can keep it till the end, but don't be shy. And awesome. So get you to take the floor. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you for having me, everybody. I appreciate you guys taking time this afternoon to hear what I have to say. Thanks. Hey, Steve,
Joe,
how you doing?
Okay, great. Everybody, welcome Joe Getz. And interesting story. A good friend of mine introduced me to Joe about 6 months ago, or a little longer. Joe and I talked, and really, I was really, knowing the hedge fund world and the investment banking world, but really much the hedge fund world. I really liked the product that he had for, hedge funds. And so, because hedge funds always rely on information, right? So people would get, information as far as, developments on different types of earnings and things and that, not inside information, but I mean, I'm just talking generalized information. And then I said, Joe, and again, prematurely, we were not ready at the time. And I said, Joe, think about taking a step back, that the average retail person would really love a product. And with Ashling's help and Joe's team, we came up with a great product here for the retail customer, and Joe's going to explain that. But before we start, Joe, it's a pleasure, and really, again, as our first product on TradeEZ, I can't thank you enough for. I know it's like climbing a glacier with sneakers on the last 6 months, but
no, it's all good.
It's all good. But Ashling and the team and your team got it going. And before we start, why don't you just tell everybody, a little bit of background about yourself and your years of experience, and what led you to come up with this, this product?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, again, thanks for having me. It's always good talking to you, dude. I've been doing financial data and analytics with my team for the last 30 years. And this all came to fruition about 10 years ago. And at that point, I had sold a company to Thomson Reuters, and it was data integration and normalization for hedge funds. And I was running a data group there, and I had a lot of my hedge fund clients, a lot of my buy side clients say, hey, Joe, there's something, have you heard of this thing called Twitter? And there's something there, there's information there. Can you do me a favor? Can you run some analysis and see if there's any predictive power? So as a side product, I went and pulled data from the Twitter API, and I ran some regressions, and I'm like thinking to myself, wow, there's really predictive data here. And so Thomson at the time didn't want to do it. So myself and a couple of buddies left, and we started Social Market Analytics. And the fantastic thing about that idea was that it took the data integration and normalization, which, yeah, that's great, but it added natural language processing, and that was being done by so few people. It was really a competitive advantage for the hedge fund space. And so for the last 10 years, I've been selling APIs to hedge funds, and I'm really excited about making this data available to retail professional traders like you guys. So I can't wait to get this up there and get the traders using it.
Well, yeah, it's really amazing because, what I do is basically all technical analysis. So I don't look at any fundamental analysis at all. And I spent 9 years of my life researching technicals and building the software that I can actually read the market and see the strategies and understand. But, people also like to know, like, when things happen in the market, we want to know why it happened. Yeah. Like FedEx today came out and their earnings came out, and boom, the stock jumps up $9, and beautiful pullback, and then it exploded. So I think a lot of people who are trading, especially the retail audience, they want to have the same information like a big hedge fund or a medium-sized hedge fund, because they're putting their money on the line just like everybody else is, right? And so when I saw your product, I'm like, Joe, this is way too sophisticated for the average retail person, right? And then with your team and Ashling, we got it really to the point where the retail audience can really adapt to this product, right? And I got to tell you, I love information. There are sometimes like I'm so busy, I'm like, what just came out?
Yeah.
I got to ask the audience, and the lunatics will come up and say to me, "Oh, Stevie, this is what just happened," or like, and I'm I'm like half dummy because like I don't have the information in front of me because I'm just zoomed in at what's in front of me. But the average person really, I'll give you a great story. Like one of the people who have joined with me now for the last several months, when I started TradeEZ, I had about 3,800 people on Twitter. Now I've doubled it. Okay. And again, all organically. But one person in mind came to me and said, you just made me $15,000 today off your Twitter post.
Love those.
And well, I said, holy cow, I didn't know the power behind it. And then when your product finally evolved into and I think this is going to be a phenomenal product for the retail audience.
Can I show it?
Yeah. Go, be my guest.
All right, so I'm pretty excited about it. And guys, I see you guys up there. If you have any questions, I'm going to share my screen, and I want to show it because I'm pretty excited about it. This is brand new. So, all right, can you guys all see my screen?
We can, Joe, absolutely.
All right, cool. We've worked really hard and gotten a lot of feedback from your users about how customers want to see it. And I've actually talked to some of my hedge fund customers and threw it out there and said, hey, if you were a retail trader, how would you want to see this data? So we came up with what we think are really cool visualizations that will help your traders come up with new ideas and be a warning system on ideas that they're already out there for. That are already out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we're doing is in real time, we are tracking the conversations of influential investors and calculating differences from the mean. So, and I'm going to make it real straightforward. Is the conversation on Twitter significantly more positive than it is normally for this security, or significantly more negative than it normally is for this security? And that's what we're publishing. And if I could jump to, and basically what we're doing is we're saying, okay, we have a normal level of conversation for Tesla. We have a normal level of conversation for Johnson & Johnson. What you start seeing, the predictive nature of the data, is when that conversation gets significantly more positive than normal, or when that conversation gets significantly more negative than normal. Those stocks move in that direction at a statistically significant level. And I've got all sorts of stats if guys are interested. But here's the widget. So what we're doing in real time, we're showing you the top 10 securities based on sentiment. And what this means is that the current conversation is significantly more positive than normal for that stock. So Cana Health, 4.23 standard deviations, mean the current conversation is hugely positive. It has a high relative tweet volume. The number of tweets from those professional investors is 60, and dispersion means that 72% of those tweets are coming from unique accounts. Now, I don't know does that make sense, Steve?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
I mean,
And this is
you're doing the work for the average person that could never compile this data.
And that's why hedge funds pay us millions of dollars a year to do that for them. So that they don't have to listen to the full Twitter fire hose. They don't have to determine who is a professional investor, who is an influential investor, and they can buy the feed from us. All right. So, and why do active traders care? One, it gives them a new idea. Two, it gives them directional indications. These stocks tend to move higher. And three, it gives them what the conversation is about. So if I click on Kano Healthcare, it goes to our security lookup page. And it says, hey, what's going on here? And this is brand new. This is feedback from the test group that Ashling put together. It's fantastic. So right now, the conversation for Kano Health is M&A activity, technical price action, and then there's some squeeze activity. Now, when this has happened in the past, so this goes to the why you care, the so what of it. So in the past year, when Kano had an extremely positive sentiment, that happened 25 times. And that stock went lower. So it was only positive 36% of the time. And on average, it lost 1.19%. So this thing gaps and then goes lower historically. So what this is doing is this telling you what's happening in social media. And this is exactly how our hedge funds use this. So what they'll do is they'll take our API and they'll read these factors, and then they'll put it as a factor into their models. And that's how it works. So top 10, we also have the bottom 10 sentiment. So right now, I could ECMO Limited. I don't know that one. It has a very negative sentiment. Design Therapeutics. No, these are the companies that currently have very negative sentiment in real time. What are the stocks that people are talking about short squeeze on? So one of the conversation that's really active in social media, the common one is Reddit, but it really is on Twitter. The stocks that have a conversation called short squeeze, that's it right here. So right now, number one, probably it's not a surprise to you, dude. AMC. A lot of people talk about AMC, Ape, Sava, GameStop, the typical ones.
Right.
So, and what this does, it'll bring new ideas. You guys out there, you have a you have a list of stocks you trade, ones that you're experts on. Maybe this will bring a new idea that will capture some volatility for you. Stocks that are certainly going to move and you can go and make trades. That was a long answer to your question. I'm sorry. And then this one I like. This is directly from, this isn't available anywhere else. This is the Earnings Watcher. And what this does is it overlays sentiment with stocks reporting earnings. So Manchester United, H.B. Fuller, they reported this morning and have been up, since then. Manchester U, FedEx, you were talking about that earlier. So these 5 widgets give you the pulse of what's happening in social media, specifically Twitter, in real time.
Great. I think we have a question, Joe, down below. It wants to know, why is it ranking from 1 to 5, if I'm reading that correctly?
So the ranking is basically from -5 to +5. And if you go 4 standard deviations, more positive or negative is really significant. What we do, and this might take a second to answer this, but basically what we're doing is we're listening to the real-time Twitter fire hose. Real time, we're taking everything about topics that we're interested in, whether it's a Model X from Tesla, Elon Musk, that goes into a database. Then what we're doing is we're evaluating the accounts, so we know who's a professional investor, how often are they retweeted, how often are they replied to, and then we score each tweet with our sentiment. And the sentiment ranges from -1 to 1, and then we aggregate that and give you an overall view. And so the calculator's calculating those Z-scores, if that answers the question. Yeah. So it goes from -4 to -5 to +5.
So obviously, if you get like a 4.89, that's a pretty bullish.
That's crazy. Yeah.
That's crazy long, right?
Yeah.
How about another question here? I have one. Could you create your own portfolio if you wanted, or this is
We don't have the portfolio capability on the widget yet, but what'll happen is, and this is something that we should add in further versions, what hedge funds will do is they'll generate portfolio level sentiment. So here's the overall sentiment on my portfolio. And that gives them they can use that to hedge some of the risk of their portfolio. So that is a concept that's used by the hedge funds. We should definitely add a watch list capability to this as we go forward. Sure.
Yeah, it's always, that's just another great feature, because, like, for example, we look at the same 39 names, 7 currencies, but we look at about 30 of the same names every single day, which I think is important because they're the ones with the biggest volumes, the biggest caps, the big ETFs, and things like that. But it doesn't mean you can't go outside the box. Like, for example, if you're seeing something that you see some great social sentiment and bullish, names popping up. And then, well, here's a great question from Tommy. Given all the fake accounts and fake information, how accurate can this be?
All right, so that's a good question, and I'll attack it a couple ways. One, we rank every account on 12 different metrics, And those metrics are not number of followers. They're not the blue check mark. They are how often conversations that people are having on Twitter are going viral. So how often do people retweet? How often do people reply? One of the metrics that we create is how accurate they are. So if there's positive sentiment on a particular security at the end of the day, how often is that security higher 1 day, 2 days, a week, and a month later? So we're calculating the statistical significance of that particular person. And then how accurate is it? So this particular chart is really a reflection of accuracy. So we've been doing this for 10 years. So this isn't new. All of this data is out of sample as it was at any point in time. And this is taking a snapshot prior to market open. So at 8:10 Central Time in Chicago, I'm taking a snapshot. So 20 minutes before the market open. And we're looking for stocks that have a S score of 2 or higher. That means the current conversation is more positive than 98% of prior conversations. That's a long signal. And then we look at the subsequent open to close of those securities. And then we do the same thing on the negative side. So we look for stocks that have an S score of -2 or lower. So they're significantly more negative than normal. And that's the red line bucket. And what we have found over time is that, the S score, and then we have a theoretical long short right here. So if you're tracking over time, 302% on the long side, -80 on the short side, with compounding 1900% on the long short. Here's year to date. It's been a wild year. The greens at 10.87%. The shorts negative here is a positive alpha, -14%, with a 27% long short. So it is very accurate, and it's significant for sectors. If you guys are sector specialists out there, it's consistent across all the sectors too. So securities that have a high S score, they go on to outperform all the other stocks in that sector. And securities with a negative S score, they go on and underperform all the stocks in that sector at a statistically significant level. And there are a good number of stocks in each bucket. So that was I think Tommy asked that, a long answer. So
these are
it's
phenomenal returns. I mean, imagine
Yeah.
having these returns. Forget it. You're year to date, you're down what, 14, 15% on the S&P, 17%.
Yeah.
So,
So we're 14. So that's positive alpha there.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's why the hedge funds like it. So there are two components to it. One, it's uncorrelated. All right. So it's not a momentum-based factor. So we distribute our data through S&P Global to hedge funds, and they did some correlations with traditional factors. So social media is not correlated to existing factors, and it's predictive. So those are two of the big things that people like, uncorrelated with statistically significant predicting power.
I think Tommy has another great question here. He wants to know about an alert mechanism. Is there an alert mechanism built into this, or you have to leave this up dynamically?
Hey, you have to leave it up dynamically right now, but I already have two things on the development list, Ashling. So one, let's put these 30 stocks on as a base 30 list, and then we need an alerting, because Tommy, you're absolutely right. Social media is a canary in a coal mine. I have customers that are interested specifically in mentions of fires at refineries. I was in a presentation yesterday, and there was a fire in some town in Ohio, and it popped up on Twitter. So Twitter is definitely a canary in the coal mine. We should add an alerting capabilities to that. That's how hedge fund risk departments actually use it. They don't care necessarily about sentiment. They want to know when volume on a particular security is high, so they can go in and adjust their position.
Jeff has a great question too. Is it just strictly for Twitter, or is it for any other sites, including Reddit?
So in this platform, in the platform now, it's just Twitter. We do carry Twitter, Reddit, and StockTwits. And the Reddit is interesting. Twitter's the most accurate, but it is right now. It's strictly based off of Twitter, and that's something that we should probably look to going forward too.
So someone asked me before we came on, my good friend Paul from Australia, who's in part of our community, and I think I know the answer already, but I just wanted to clarify it because if he's on. So he asked me, is it just strictly for stocks, or can this work on, like, for example, currencies and or cryptocurrencies?
So we do carry currencies, futures, we're gonna add a lot of as we go forward, and as you guys start using this, we're obviously going to listen to, what you guys want. But we do, we carry 4,500 U.S. equities, 113 commodities, all the major currency pairs. Crypto is really, really interesting. There isn't a lot of traditional news sources out there. There isn't a lot of traditional sources of information. So sentiment on cryptocurrencies is very predictive. But we cover about 1,000 different cryptos. And as we go forward, we're gonna be adding those all for you guys. So yeah.
You're lucky I wasn't part of this team, because I would have a million things to add on that I would want done by Monday. And
we're gonna add them. So get in now, because when we add it,
I'm just saying,
it's gonna be cool.
It's just a remarkable product, because you're taking the one thing I like about what TradeEZ does, and we're taking all the information and we're compiling it into a direct stream, right? So when you look at something like this, right, this product, you're taking so much data that the average person could never take, and you're just combining it and minimizing it to the point to give you a net result, and I think that's the most important thing. It's like, people say to me, why do you have all your screens up? Because I'm taking all this information,
yep,
and I'm compiling it, and I'm giving a direct answer, right? So I could never look at the market or trade the market without the way I am comfortable looking at all this information, being able to see things. And in the back end, you're doing all the work for the average hedge fund and or now retail customer. And, when I mentioned this to you back, 5-6 months ago about, let's create a product for the retail customer, you were like, well, yeah, it's just, I never really thought of that, And
yeah.
Well, because the retail customers really has educated themselves that, they want the same tools that a hedge fund can have. And, they want someone that has 40 years of experience like myself, mentoring and then teaching them. And then you get products like yours that now you've taken the time and to develop for the retail customer. And I think it's a phenomenal product. I mean, I love it.
You know why I think so? I think the reason that this is going to be so helpful to you guys out there is because we've been working with hedge funds for the last 10 years on this. And so the NLP has evolved, the account filtering is all evolved. And, this is a chance where this is one of those instances where you guys are benefiting from the work that they've done as opposed to the other way around. So we have the largest hedge funds in the world using this in real time,
right?
And this is the same thing you get.
Mm-hmm. That says a lot. I mean, for hedge funds to want this data at in seconds to help them with an advantage is always like tipping. You always want something that's leaning in a way that's going to benefit you, right? Tommy's got another great question here. Is there a way to show sentiment over numerous days?
Yeah. So here we have. We should add that too. We should add time period. We should add time period to this. That's a good point.
I'll have all this by Monday, Tommy. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now it's just intraday. Right. And Zishan on my team, I hope you're taking notes on this. But yeah, we should add that. That's a great idea. What we found is that just informationally, so this signal, so normally what we're doing is at every moment we're taking the current conversation over the last 24 hours. So every minute you have conversation rolling off 24 hours ago, and we're comparing it to a 20-day baseline. And so what we have found is that on the long side, the signal persists for that 24 hours versus 20 days. For about 5 days, these securities behave differently. On the short side, it's a little shorter. It's about 3 days. So having a historical chart would be very helpful. Yeah.
That's
a good idea.
Our TradeEZ community is pretty smart. I mean, these guys want, they know what they want. Okay. So I got a question here on the social sentiment. If you look at the negative, right, how deep it got near the 0-0 line right there.
Yeah.
Would you buy that because based upon bearish sentiment?
What I would do is, so 1.37 is negative. Well, I would start buying it here when it starts going up.
Okay. I see it.
Not necessarily way down here, but when you start seeing that tick up, right there, when you start seeing a real trend higher is when people would typically start buying it. If you wait till it gets to positive, there's absolutely still return there. deltas, when it's starting to change, delta and sentiment, that's a good time. Apple's one of the biggest followed stocks in the world, and so that's that's one that has good signal.
I got another question from Tommy. I think Tommy wants a job with you for some reason. I don't know. It looks like, can you explain the meaning of the green red bars on tweet volume?
Yeah, and when this is done, Tommy, if you want to reach out to me directly about any of this stuff, I'd be happy to.
He wants a job,
The color of the bar indicates whether sentiment was positive or negative for that period. So if sentiment's moving higher, it's green. If sentiment's moving lower, it's red. So you get a number of green bars in a row. That's good. So here you had negative sentiment with a bunch of green bars. That's a bullish signal.
Okay.
It's starting to move higher.
Philip has a question here asking, maybe you can answer this. Do you offer a trial period before we make the purchase?
We're open to it. We're going to have a 50% off promotion next week. I mean, it's a very affordably priced tool, but I'm certainly open to it within our current community members. That's no problem. If Joe is open to it too, we can discuss that.
Yeah, it's Ashling, that's your call. Yeah.
We have one from Rick. Okay, Apple drop at the end and sentiment is going up.
Mm-hmm. That's a bullish signal.
Okay. Ed, to everyone, price. I don't know what he means by price.
We don't have price on the chart. Maybe you're talking about price of the product.
The stock price.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't put stock price on there. You can get stock price from a lot of different sources. We're really focused our NLP on making sure the sentiment's right. So we don't generally put price on it.
I think a dynamic alert would be phenomenal.
I think we need to do that too, Ashling.
Ashling, we want it done by Friday night.
Yeah. Yeah. We want alerts. Alerts are a big deal. So alerts you have, and we have an alerting API too. So alerts, you could say when sentiment has a positive change, when volume increases. We have even what's called an accurate account alert. When the most accurate accounts on Twitter are tweeting about a particular security, I want to know about that. So yeah, it's.
You know why, Joe? I'll just tell you something. I've known so many top guys over the year, my 40 years. And one guy said to me, Stevie, what's the most important part of a trader? And I said to him, well, preservation of capital. He goes, oh, you're on to, and I said, well, really, Stevie, what's the most important part of your world? And I said, real estate, right? And he goes, bingo. Means that your screens are set up to the point that don't mess with my screens, And so can this be put like on a widget, like populate on their screens and in a way, or?
So we have I don't believe this can be populated on the screen. Ashling, you would know better than I would on this. So how technically put, but yeah, fighting for real estate is critically important. So that's why a lot of people use alerts. I agree. So most of our hedge fund customers take the API and it's running in the background.
Right.
They do have alerting. They do have alerts set up, and we can talk about that. This is going to be cool. You guys have a lot of great ideas.
No, I'm telling you, here's Tommy. Tommy's really fighting for a job here.
Well, look at 10 questions. This is fantastic.
We don't get Tommy. Tommy, I know he's a great man. What comes first, the rising price on the rising sentiment, and then is there an API? Obviously, there's no API because it's really, it's a tool right now. The hedge funds have direct.
They take an API.
They take an API.
JSON API. The sentiment will lead. Check that. It depends on the instance. Sentiment leads price statistically. I mean that in the vast majority. There are times when an event is fully priced in. Mm-hmm. An Apple release of a new product as an example. There are instances where things are priced in. It doesn't move against you, but sentiment absolutely leads price at a statistically significant level. Otherwise, you wouldn't have seen the chart that I just showed you, or the sector or industry. It's clearly a leading indicator.
Mm-hmm. Jeff's coming up for right behind Tommy for a job. How do you? These are all friends of mine. These are all people I know, and they're great.
I almost spit out my coffee.
No, these are great people. How do you determine if sentiment is a tweet is a positive or negative?
So natural language processing is all the rage right now. We've been doing it for 10 years. We built it ourselves. So what we'll do is we use what's called a multi-pass phrase evaluation approach. And that's a whole bunch of gobbledygook. For what we do is we look at noun, adjective, verb, just like you did in third grade English. And we basically link phrases and words together, and that'll give us a whole sentence, and then we'll take the sentiment of that. So we actually use software to read the tweet and score it based on. So if someone says this is absolutely great, that's going to come in as positive. This is absolutely not great, that's going to come in as negative. And there's a whole lot of subtlety. The traditional way that people do it is what's called bucket scoring, positive or negative. We do what's called fine grain scoring. So we will actually go from -1 to 1, with most tweets hovering around neutral or slightly positive or slightly negative. So it's using our own proprietary NLP that's evolved over the last 10 years. We have a set of tweets that's 10 years old that we can now use to train our natural language processing. We're the only ones that have that. And we run regressions to generate those sentiment values on a really monthly basis.
Okay, Jeff's asking another question. Can you select a symbol to see the keywords that drive the sentiment? I think the answer was that you only pop up the ones that are most popular, right?
Well, the top 10, bottom 10 only are the ones that right now are the top and bottom sentiment. If you put in a symbol, what it'll do is it'll actually, you can click it, you can see the sentiment, and then you can see the topics that people are talking about. So we have had over the years, we identified 20 traditional topics that people talk about. So for Tesla, technical price action, macro, and option activity, that's what's driving it. So macro is people talking about Tesla being a bellwether for the overall economy. Technical is as you would guess, support, resistance, moving averages, things like that. And then people talking about if I'm writing puts, and that's bullish. So we go in and that's not nearly as bullish as buying calls. So what we do is we tell you what's driving the conversation and historically what's happened when that particular security has met that level. And then actually keep in mind, there's pop-ups here too that tells you what that particular metric means. And then there are going to be a bunch of videos up too. I believe they're going to be up on Monday that walk you through some examples.
Here's a great question from JD. I love this question. Is there some sort of correlation between industries or politics and indexes? For example, would you ping Apple or Tesla stock if some major event came out that would affect, say, lithium supply, or would it catch the Apple or Tesla specific sentiment?
You know what would typically happen with lithium? A lot of times NVIDIA gets tagged with the various cell phone manufacturers and battery manufacturers. Those particular, Tesla will get tagged typically with lithium. So what will happen is there will be tags associated with it, and depending on the topic model for that particular security, it could be input there directly. So you can, and it's not, but just as an example, if it was significantly correlated, or if it was highly enough influential on Tesla sentiment, then lithium would be added to that topic model directly. But I know that it's not. But short answer is they get tagged and they do get included. Big one, probably the biggest one would be NVIDIA. NVIDIA gets really tagged with the input sources to their chips.
All right, and then here's one from Philip. So if sentiment is positive, wouldn't you want to short to go against the mainstream ideas?
Well, the statistics show that overall that's not a good idea. There are some stocks, and you can see it by reading this paragraph, where that tip historically has been beneficial. But the problem with that is if you did that overall, you would be on the wrong side. You'd be on the wrong side of it. So over history, and you can see the lines getting more sloped because of the machine learning, that if you shorted the high sentiment, it would, you'd be pretty burned. And I think, Steve, you said your number one thing is follow your stops. You'd get stopped out an awful lot if you were shorting these high sentiment stocks.
Yeah, no, you want to, the trend is your friend, right? And the trend is going in that direction. Philip, I would not look to short that. It's a great question, but I wouldn't look.
I wouldn't do it either.
Tommy, again, do you have a topic model for each asset, or is it based on sector?
Every every security has its own topic model, and there are a couple of reasons for that. One, a lot of times people tag, products when they're talking about a company. So there is a topic model for every security. It's built using machine learning, and over the last 10 years, it's been pretty modified. Now, what's interesting is the natural language processing engine is different for asset classes. So the natural language processing for equities is not the same as futures, and it's not the same as Forex. And even fixed income in the futures is not the same as energy in the futures. So the topic models are for security. And as an example, we were talking a little bit earlier about crypto. There are, I want to say, about 85 cryptos that have the same symbol as traditional equities. And if you don't have a security specific topic model, then you're going to get, you're going to get Ethereum and Ethan Allen when Ethan Allen had that same symbol. So it is per security.
I tell you, I got a good bunch here. These guys are, I'm telling you, these guys, they're going to, look at this here. Can you pull up the S&P for today? Well, does it work on futures?
Yeah, it does work. I don't know that we have futures in here. I know we just have straight equities.
How about spiders, ETFs?
Yeah, what symbol do you want me to enter? I'll give it a try. I don't know if it's in here. All
right,
let's try SPY. I don't think so. That's what I was trying. Nah.
Okay.
It pulled up Krispy Kreme, but we do have it for futures. We do have it for currencies. The first version of this is individual equities. So that's another thing we got to put. So I think what we need to do is we need to put toggles up here for the different asset classes.
I will have that by Monday. No more.
Yeah, we'll add that to the list.
All right. So from Alexandra, did you measure the average duration of an abnormal return in a security that would pop up just for?
Yeah, these are beta adjusted returns, and on the for S-score greater than 2, it's about 5 days. And for S-score less than -2 or negative sentiment, it's about 3 to 5 days. So the short side corrects much more quickly than the long side.
Okay, JD.
And those are beta adjusted too. So.
Oh, okay. Okay. And JD, Alex, you're welcome. Okay, JD has one here. Good question here. How would you present this to a swing trader or excuse me, or long-term person? I would like to recommend this to my brother who likes to make plays over weeks or months. Is it more geared to quick day trading?
So when we first started 10 years ago, we were doing a lot of individual one-day signals and a lot of intraday signals. And the reason for that was pretty simple. We didn't have a lot of data. So in a year, we only get 365. Now that we have 10 years worth of data, we have 120 monthly signals. Our hedge fund customers, they lengthen out the signal by taking longer term averages and longer term standard deviations. So the short answer is our hedge fund clients, and we're getting into more traditional buy side monthly and quarterly hold, and we have signals for them. We have some signals that we're tilting indexes, and it's pretty darn cool. So if someone wants to reach out to me later, I'd be happy to talk to them or their brother about it.
Joe, can you go to the top sentiment really quick? I want to just ask you a quick question. I think
absolutely.
AMC is one of your, which one is it?
AMC was on the short squeeze list.
Oh, okay.
So AMC was right here.
All right. So AMC, where would let's just say, okay, where would you look to buy this if based upon the analytics, the data?
Well, let's do this. Let's put this in the security lookup and see what we've had. So I'm going to go to AMC. Right about here, when it started heading up. See all these black, you see all these green in a row right here? There's a few red in there. Yeah.
So when it got above positive, would you look to sell it?
Yeah. Oh boy, that's a good question. Honestly, Steve, I would ask you for that.
I look at the chart on it. But
yeah, and that's the right answer. This can help you get into an entry point, but this is not a silver bullet in and of itself. You need to combine it with the stuff that you're, you and I have talked about this, that you need to combine it with the stuff that you're doing. Because I see this all the time. It's so critically important. And people talk about bots and social media, and I think it's fascinating that there are so many technical analysis bots that are actually pretty effective. Not all bots are bad, but my answer to that would be, this can help you decide when to get in, but I think you would need to overlay the stuff that you're teaching on top of it. That's my opinion.
And Tommy has another question. Can you click through the security from the list to get the security view details?
Yes, sir. You click on it, you click on Humana, and then it goes there. Yeah.
So go to the top sentiment really quick. So if you look
Bam.
at Cano, I think you're right, Cano Health.
Yeah.
So let's bring that up really quick. So this pretty much at 8 a.m. this morning was giving somewhere, I would probably look to buy that at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. when it popped up right after the opening.
Yeah. So this is saying that over the last year, if you look at the math, 25 times this has happened, and most of the time it'll come back down. Right now, where it is right now, it on average it'll move over the next 24 hours a negative 1.19%, and most of the time it goes of that 25 times, only 40% of the time it's been higher a day later. 36% to be exact. So afternoon, this widget displays a number of times that pre-market close S-score is extreme and the average subsequent close to close return. So what this is saying then right now, only 40% of the time has this thing been higher 24 hours later. And on average, it goes down negative 1.19%. But but then you got M&A activity, which is always, always interesting.
So,
and this one doesn't get a lot of volume. This is interesting too, because it doesn't get a lot of volume normally, and it just popped up on Twitter volume. And this is Twitter volume again, not regular.
Right. And right now this product is geared for 9 to 4, 9:30 to 4, pretty much, right now.
Yeah, and yeah, it's an intraday, but we are tracking. There are times when stuff will happen. This is going to update 24/7. So users can go in and see this 24/7. A lot of the activity starts happening, in my time, Chicago time, 5, 6 in the morning, and you'll start seeing some of these metrics change. But it is 24/7. You get most of the activity during your trading day.
Okay, so can you go back to top sentiment one more time?
Absolutely. Yeah. So all you got to do is click, and then you can see. And I don't. Let's see. Okay, it does go. So I thought it was just yeah. So here's the right now. Here's what top 10, bottom 10.
Now let's go to Costco because the earnings came out. I want to see what happened here with Costco.
Oh, it is on there, Costco. So that's been positive all day.
Right.
And how did they do? I know they do well because my wife's there all the time.
Me too. I'm always there.
Yeah.
I live at Costco. Forget it.
Yeah. Earnings, dividends, and options. Did they raise their dividends? Did they raise their dividend?
It was down $18 on the day. So
all right.
But I don't know what the earnings are after hours or anything like that. So at the top of the topics, clickable to reveal example tweets. Okay, so Tommy's asking, are the top topics clickable to reveal example tweet?
Man, that's something good idea to do. Yeah. So when our hedge fund customers, you can query on a topic like earnings, and they will pull that. But you know what? Maybe we need to put in the help file. Maybe we need to add some example tweets for each of these topics. That's a good idea. And right now they are not. This is basically what this is. This is talking about earnings, and I don't know whether they beat or missed earnings. And then dividends and options. So that's what people are talking about right now.
This is a really great question here. What is the best time to start watching the sentiment in order to be prepared for intraday trading? 5
or 6 in the morning, Chicago time. Yeah, because people start talking about what they're going to trade today, what's on their watch list. Real stocks that our group is watching today. 6, 7 in the morning. We take our official snapshot, pre-open snapshot, what I've been doing for 10 years at 8:10 Central Time. That's when we say, okay, we are now committed for our future, for our returns for all of time right now. So we say our sentiment's good at 8:10. So
after 9 o'clock Eastern, pretty much is when you should be getting a good idea of what you want to be trading. Hey, Tommy has another great one here. I was asking because Cano morning sentiment increase.
Yep. Let me go back. So to hit your point, so this is that chart. So at 8:10 Central for all of history, this is what we're committed to. So so we say that our sentiment is a good predictor of where it's going at 8:10 Central. So now let's go back to Cano. I'm sorry, Steve. What was the question again?
Where's the chat? So Tommy asked. I was asking because Cano morning sentiment increased.
It was, yeah, but it was still, there's a negative 0.4, it's 0.37. That's within the normal error. When you don't, it went from neutral to you know, and obviously I don't know when the M&A announcement was, but so it was 2:30, it was 2:25 my time. Yeah, there really just wasn't any if it's within one, that's normal error. That's a normal chatter one way or the other. You need to start getting, I was talking to someone yesterday, one of our hedge fund customers, and they say they see a significant at that 1.5 threshold. These guys are pros. They've been doing it a long time. They say they see their inflection point at 1.5. We typically say 2, but they see it at 1.5. But here, there's Tommy, there's really nothing there at 1.42. That's normal level of chatter. So there really wasn't a signal at noon today on sentiment. People weren't talking about it.
Yeah. So Cano actually was up. Like I think it was up over $2.50 at one point for an $8 $6.
Wow.
That's pretty big. So where would you think they would have gotten in, for argument's sake?
For here, I wouldn't have done anything until an alert fired here. There would be here, whether I missed it or not. 225 central, because there's what would happen was it went from 0.32, and I'll tell you one of the things I'm going to do after this call. I'm going to go see what the trigger tweet was here, but it went from 0.31 at 310 to in 15 minutes it went to 4.16.
Yeah, the news
that's huge.
The news came out at 320.
Yeah.
So you would have bought it based upon that right there?
Yeah, I would have bought it based on that.
It pulled in nicely, and then it pulled in nicely. It looks like it's just up for another push up here.
Is this, you know what? These are 15-minute values. That's another thing we need to change. These, okay. We should change these to 1-minute values. This is a 15-minute chart here. I know the top and bottom are real time, but we should probably change the chart to 1 minute.
And you know, Tommy is echoing what you mentioned before. That's where customizable alerts would be good.
Would be helpful. Yeah, this would raise all sorts of flags for sure. And in terms of alerts and yeah.
And JD, I think you know, dynamic alerts would be really significant to the end user here.
Yeah, I agree.
And JD, do we access it simply by browsing to it, or is there an API? Well, we went.
You're using the API. So TradeEZ is pulling the exact same API that hedge funds are pulling. There's no difference. So you're getting access to the data at the exact same time. So there is an API, and you guys are using it.
Well, like the JD is asking, like, are there APIs in TradingView or in webhooks studies? I never heard of webhook studies.
No, I don't know. I know the TradingView guys, but we are not doing anything with TradingView.
Okay. Does it include index S&P 500? I think we answered that. No.
Well, we'll add that. We're going to add that to the list.
Can we get JSON data?
Oh, JSON APIs? JSON. Who is that?
That's JD telling me here.
JD. I mean, if you want to buy access to the API,
JD wants a job. Trust me.
JD, we can. Yeah, the short answer is our hedge funds are getting it in a JSON API, and actually, this front end is pulling it from JSON API. So if someone wants to get access to the JSON, okay, give me a call. We can talk about it.
Okay, and here's Tommy D on his third. He's going to set the Guinness Book World Record today for the questions, but I love him to death.
I appreciate him.
I know. They're great. I love them. Suggestion. Okay, get your pen and paper out. An ability to find sentiment changes greater than a threshold over the past N minutes.
Yeah, a delta, sentiment delta, for sure. For sure.
See, this community is pretty on top.
You guys are, I'm serious. You guys are
killing what I'm up against every day, Joe.
These are great questions.
You have no idea what me and Ashton go up against.
These are hedge fund like questions.
No, these are great people. These are great people. Listen, you know, I've learned so much over the years from just listening to people, and I've always tweaked things based upon, as my father once said, the greatest gift in life is the ability to listen. And we listen and we try to do what we can to always make it better, right?
Great questions.
By the way, Jeff does not want a job. He's in retirement. I have to let you know.
All right.
So do you display a correlation between sentiment and price delta?
We don't display correlation. There is a significant correlation between forward prices. sentiment and forward prices. So that's, I mean, that's exactly what we're trying to target. We don't typically display it. We don't calculate it real time, but we do it for research project. And just, hey guys, if you go to our website, socialmarketanalytics.com, there are hundreds of research papers up there. I mean, there's a lot of research, and that is, a really good indication of how to use the data. It's typically longer term, and it's really more for hedge fund type buyers. But if you're really interested in this stuff, we've got universities that we've worked with MIT, we work with Illinois every year, University of Illinois. So go there and check out some of the research papers.
I have a question. Does the analytics help with market direction, short, intermediate, long term?
We do have some overall market indicators for that crypto question earlier, and I'm digressing, but the overall market indicator for crypto is absolutely amazing. Some of the highest sharp ratios I've seen. We do have overall market indicators. A lot of people use the SPY sentiment as an overall market indicator, but we do some broader aggregations because we track 4,500 different securities. So,
wow, that's a lot. Wow.
Yeah, they don't always move. You get signal on about 70% of them in a given day. Not every security has a signal every day because people just aren't talking about it. And on Reddit, significantly fewer than that.
So, like, for example, if you have this up right now, how would you have to leave top sentiment open, bottom sentiment open, short squeeze open, earnings watcher open? You know what I'm saying? More or less, or do you well,
again, we haven't done a lot in the retail space, so
no,
I would probably keep the top sentiment open. I would probably keep the top sentiment open right now. It depends. Oh, actually, you know what? That's a good question. It depends on how your traders use it.
Mm-hmm.
If they trade a lot of earnings, then I would keep the earnings page up. So if someone does a lot of options, I might do squeeze or maybe even bottom sentiment. So it depends on the style of the trader, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Here's another great question from JD. Do you track Bitcoin dominance versus altcoins?
We have sentiment on Bitcoin, and we do have overall dominance related metrics for it. Yeah, short answer is yeah. We calculate Bitcoin specifically. We calculate overall, and then we do X Bitcoin, and actually we do some X Ripple too.
Mm-hmm. And Mike, do you offer training on how to utilize the software?
We're doing videos, and I'd be happy to help people. We spent a lot of time with Ashling, and the guys on my team are much smarter than me. We've created a lot of videos. So this is going to be active, I believe, next week. It's called Explore SMA Education. And I think the videos will help you a lot. And if you need more, then I want to make sure you guys are successful. So
just to cut in on that, Joe was very open to providing this, because I said, if we just, like with Steve's chart overlay, if we just put it on offer up on the website and people actually don't know how to utilize it, then you're not going to profit with it. And then what we're doing is of no benefit to you.
Right.
So he's going to be doing a weekly video for us that will be content that he will take, let's say a top or bottom sentiment ticker. He will talk through it. He will show you what happened in real time during a given few days. He'll send that to me, and we'll have that uploaded then in the education library. Also, we'll be doing a private Discord group so that you can ask questions at any stage, and I will forward those to Joe and his team every week, so you'll get feedback.
Absolutely.
And then as the Discord private group grows, one of Joe's team is committed to being part of it too, so that you'll get great feedback on that. So the amazing thing I will say to you, Joe, and your team, is you're so committed to making this work, as we are in TradeEZ.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's been, I know the future of working with you for our community will be fantastic.
If hedge funds are killing it with this data, so let's make it available to everyone else too. I mean, this was a great idea, Steve. When you brought it up, this is a great idea. Because being around as long as I have, and I'm not really one to take the time to sift all the data and information, because you only, every second counts here. And when you're day trading the market, you're focused in like an F-18 pilot, and you're zeroed in. You just don't have time to look away for anything and to distract you. And that's why I said I think this is a phenomenal product for all the retail community, because it's going to give them a tool that the pros have, but in a different fashion. And look at the ideas that this group has already given you to make this product even better. I mean, Ashley's going to have this all typed out and sent to you by 8 o'clock tonight, and you'll be on your third scotch by 10.
But because this product is really remarkable. I mean, here's another great, Alexander, does this page get updated automatically or needed to be refreshed manually?
It's automatic as far as I know. I don't think we have to refresh. Ashling, could you know?
I've been watching. It is automatic. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, good.
I mean, you can see the questions, Joe, that people are really interested and excited to have something like this, because who has time to do all this data work,
Yep.
I mean,
That's what the hedge funds asked me. That's why they asked me, because they're like, hey, you've been doing this a long time. Can you help us with this? We'll pay you for it. And that's how I was able to launch the company. Yeah.
And I think our group gave some really great suggestions and to make it
100%.
better. And, I love constructive criticism, even, myself, and I want to always do things better. And, I talk to half the world, and I'm always getting ideas on how to tweak things. And of course, after that, I run to Ashling, and she's like, okay, put on the list,
Yeah, I've got some great ideas already. I mean,
yeah. But the community is very, very intelligent. They're smart. They know what they want. And when I told them about this product, I mean, look, I was excited when I first saw it, because like I never traded like this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And to get information that can give you just a slight advantage is golden. Even if there's names I don't look at here to trade, but doesn't mean like I know Humana, I know Virtue, I know the Qualcomm, I know these names. I mean, if you can get like a certain edge that can help you, at the end of the day, make a return, it's pretty dynamic, and it's a pretty useful tool.
Yeah. And there are people on this list here using our data. Yeah.
That's great. And Ashley, when will it be available? You said next week?
We're launching on Monday, Steve.
Oh, okay.
Giving 50% off promotion for it. We sent an email in advance if you want to avail of that. And as Joe is open to, we'll certainly happily do a couple of days trial on it, maybe a 2-day trial or something. But I'll flush that out with Joe, and we can.
Absolutely. It's gonna be awesome. I'm looking forward to it. And I already have some great ideas to take away to add to make this better for you guys. And I appreciate all your questions.
No, it's remarkable that you could take an institutional product and now take it to the form of a retail product. It's and did it in such a short period of time. Kudos to you and your team.
Thanks,
when I
man.
mentioned that to you, I thought I was going to get like, what are you, out of your freaking mind type.
It was a great idea. I had just been so heads down working with hedge funds that it's a great idea. I mean, I'm really excited about it. I know my guys are. We're really excited about it. So, and I can't wait to get the feedback from you guys when you start using it.
Here's a question from Ed. What are the fees for the software, Ashling?
So it'll be $50 for a month. We'll launch it at $25 for our members, and it will come with education. So it's not like a typical standalone tool. I mean, we give live education with this every week, so that we will get you profitable with it. And as you can see already, and I will say to your team, Joe, kudos, because even when we did our beta test group, every single feedback we brought to you, the changes were just immediately implemented. So I know that this will go from strength to strength in the weeks ahead.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
I think Tommy's on his 14th question, which is phenomenal.
Go ahead.
Will an ETFs be included?
I want to add those. I have no problem with adding them, actually. I mean, I think one of the first things we need to do is, Steve, get your list of 30 things that you guys trade and just make it a tab. Right here, Steve's 30, and put a little tab here.
I guess you see that. It's easy.
Yeah. I mean,
the other thing is a lot of people that I'm starting to get now, Alex saying bread and butter first. Do what's more important. I think the dynamic alerts and things like that, and do the list that you think is going to help people to the forefront. And kudos to Alex I agree with Alex on that. Putting my top list in here and things like that. But I'll tell you, Joe, in doing this now, my 40th year, I traded nearly 2 billion shares in my life, and basically for me, stocks was everything, right? And then now I'm seeing how many people in the world are trading futures, and how many people now are trading Forex. Just to expand that now, but in the future, I think these assets could be staggering in you know, having this product available to people.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I love the earnings display, because I gotta, everybody says, where do you get your earnings? You gotta go to forex.com and sift through all this data and hit boom, you click on it, it's right here. Ashling, you know what I'm saying? It's boom, it's right at your fingertips, right here.
Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern in Dava.
All right, but this is phenomenal. Like, how many people like say, where do you get your information from? And people go here, they go to Yahoo, they go to Forex. Boom, it's right here at your fingertips, you know?
Yeah. What other questions we got?
I think that's about it. Anybody have any more questions? Joe, kudos to you and your team. It's
Thanks,
dynamic,
man.
it's remarkable. A couple of tweaks here or there, but you're on the great path, and it's a great product, and an inexpensive product that, that can help, generate nice returns on a continued basis on daily.
I'm hoping that each of you guys gets some great ideas every month from it. Yeah, maybe it's something that you weren't planning on trading today. Maybe you weren't walking in saying, I'm going to trade Glaxo today. But one of our hedge fund customers, they have what they, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of factors. And they say our two of the factors that they've created with our data are in their top 5 that generate the most alpha. So.
Yeah. Joe, again, we're super excited. This is our first product we're going to have on TradeEZ, and
cool.
Thank you for listening. Months back, and just as an idea, and transformed it 6 months later with your team and with Ashling, and remarkable job. And guys, in our community, I'm really excited about this. I'm going to have it on my desktop. I'm going to really learn it. And I'm going to share the ideas once I really fully understand it. And now I see it in the works. I think it's going to be something that, listen, what all it takes is one good idea, 2 good ideas, 5 good ideas a day that can help. Obviously, this is what we do here. We want people to make money and learn and be educated. And I think, Joe, you said that, Ashley, you'll be doing some Zooms during once a week or something on this and stuff.
I'm going to start with once a week, but if people are liking it, I'll do it more.
Oh, great.
Absolutely.
Oh, great. Well, Joe, here's one. Can we get the sentiment on long-term involving companies that might be big companies in the futures?
Well, we do have private company sentiment. We do have longer term sentiment. So the one that you have here is 24 hours versus a 20-day baseline. We have 50-day summations versus 200, which gives you a longer term sentiment. But we do have some private companies in there if people are interested. So we track real-time sentiment on the 150 largest private companies that are most likely to go public. So that's something that we can look at going forward too.
That's awesome. Hey, Joe, I know it's been a great journey, and I just want to say thank you.
You're very welcome
for your time. I know it's been about an hour, and hey guys, I'm really looking forward. It launches on Monday. Any information, contact myself, Ashling. Joe, it's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure.
So happy that you finally came on. I thought it would never happen.
Hey, it's always fun talking to you, dude.
Oh, no, you're a good man. And
all right.
I'm just so excited. Again, our first product on TradeEZ, we're a new company, and to have Joe Getz involved. Joe, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Have a profitable day tomorrow, everybody.
Thank you so much. Everybody on Win, thank you. Monday, SMA on TradeEZ. Let's do it.
Thanks, guys.
Good night, Joe.
Bye.
Have a great night, everybody. Bye-bye.